Hey everyone, my name is Meera. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I make videos about books, TV shows, and occasionally, when I'm not feeling lazy and like to step out of my room, about travel. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about my reading plans for 2022. This year, I hadn't made any reading plans as such, except for picking out a few anticipated reads and deciding on what number of books I wanted to attempt reading in 2021, both of which, by the way, were a no-go. So out of the 14 books that I had picked in this video, which you can go and watch later, I read 4 of them. And today is the 25th of December. So far I've read about 63 books and my goal was to read 100 books. I know that before the end of the year I may manage to read a couple more, but that's nowhere close to the mark. You might then be wondering, why do I make these TBR videos and goals and plans and things like that? I am a mood reader, as I've said a million times before on this channel. So for me, TBRs and goals are tentative structures to sort of help me decide what I want to read. These are definitely books that I intend to read in the near future. So then I will add it to my TBR, and then as the month progresses, I'm like, do I want to pick this now or not? As I've been reading very diverse books this year, I've realized that my reading tastes haven't changed all that much. I still do follow the same kind of genres, that is psychological thrillers, horror, historical fiction, fantasy, and so on. But something that I have realized is that I have developed a newfound liking for writing that is lyrical and ambient. Now, this was something that used to throw me off books during my youth. Youth? Wait, I'm still young. I meant during my school and college days. I remember there were a lot of classics and like literary fictions which when I read and the writing was, ornate and over the top, I just be like, oh no, this is not for me. And I used to get so intimidated. But thanks to picking up Daphne du Maurier's books, that's changed for me. So 2021 wasn't all that I had hoped it to be, but in several different ways it was really good. And I hope that's the same for you as well, that there are many things, many memories you can take away from this year. So without further ado, these are some tentative plans that I hope will shape my reading in 2022. First is to read more Asian books. This year I have loved reading about different Asian cultures, getting to read about these experiences and themes that resonate with people a lot closer to home has been such a fulfilling experience. And it's not necessarily new for me. I have been picking up Asian books the last couple of years as well, but with each successive year in my reading life, I come more and more closer to appreciating the essence of what these books carry. And a couple of my top reads of 2021 have been written by Asian authors, so that's something you can look out for. Some authors that are on my radar are Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni, Jhumpa Lahiri, Han Kang, Amitabh Ghosh, and Murakami. If you have any all-time favorite books by these authors or any other Asian authors, please do let me know in the comments. I would be more than happy to add them to my TBR. Second, reference books and guides. I'm at that point in my life where I want to self-learn a lot of new things. And I've just realized that there's so much knowledge you need to have to navigate life that schools and cultural institutions don't necessarily equip you with that kind of knowledge. So some topics that I'm going to be picking up books on are finance, work life, basic politics. Yes, you heard that right. If you follow my channel, then you may know that science and politics are two topics that I tend to stay away from, but I am seeing why that may not necessarily be the right mindset, and so I'm trying to make baby steps in the right direction. Next, I'm going to be rereading some all-time favorites. Off the top of my head, some of these would be Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, of course. We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson, Little Woman by Louisa May Alcott, and so on. When I first read these books, it was such a delectable experience. I am really jealous of people who have not read them yet and get to read these books for the first time. I want to revisit these titles because I know that when I read them, I had a different perspective, and now that some of my thoughts and ideas may have evolved compared to then. I want to see how I feel about these books now, which is not to say that I will like them any less. But yeah, I think it would be a fun experience to revisit all those passages that I had marked out, and then like just see the world through these characters' eyes and the stories that the authors have created, which are just beautiful. So that's something I am definitely looking forward to doing next year. This year, I had the chance to reread the Percy Jackson series, We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. From that, I've learned that I don't think books that I've loved at some point in time, I would grow to like any less later on. So it was just as wonderful reading them again. Fourth, reading more of Daphne du Maurier's books. I've spoken about this already before, but I'm part of a book club called DBC Reads, and we pick up one Daphne du Maurier book to read every month, and our discussions have been so fulfilling, so wonderful, that it's great to not just get the chance to pick one Daphne du Maurier book every month, but then have these hour-long discussions where we all come together and dissect what the book was about, what we each thought about it. And you know, if you're not part of a book club, I really recommend that you do try to be part of one, whether it's online or offline, because you gain so much out of it. Being a reader is one thing, but then getting together with other readers and just seeing how everyone's thoughts can be different, it is so much more rewarding. I enjoy being a part of this club so much. My love for Daphne du Maurier's writing began with Rebecca, and through this club I've read 4 more of her works, and it's just really interesting to see the kind of themes and characters that she explores. There are definite parallels that you can draw between all of her stories, some kind of commonality that all of these stories share, but also how different they are. So yeah, definitely reading more Daphne du Maurier books next year. Next, to finally finish off the fantasy series that I have left unread. Now, I am a binge read, binge watch kind of person, probably because remembering details is not one of my strongest suits. So when there's a fantasy series or well any kind of book series, I prefer to read all the installments back to back, because I know if I read book 1 this year and have to wait 2 whole years for the sequel to come out, then I'm not going to remember much from book 1. So that way I have quite a few fantasy series that I haven't completed yet. A couple of them are the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. There's the Winter Night trilogy by Catherine Arden. Then there's the Lumitere Chronicles by Melinda Marchetta. Yeah, so these are just 3 series that I remember, but I'm pretty sure there's at least 6 to 7. Let's see how many of these I can get done next year. 6, to join Storygraph. So this is not really a reading plan, but basically something bookish. Goodreads has been an integral part of me being a reader and a reviewer. And I know that I have relied a lot on some features and some aspects of Goodreads to find new recommendations and things like that. But it has just come to my attention that there are several other features on Storygraph that would be so much more helpful, that I do want to give it a try, and I am going to export all of my shells and reviews and things like that to Storygraph and start using it more frequently, so that I get a better sense of, you know, the kind of themes and genres and the pacing and things like that that's more common in the books I read. I think that would also help me get more specific recommendations. And of course there are some other aspects like book clubs and things like that that Storygraph has that I feel like would definitely be interesting to try out. So I'm not going to stop posting reviews on Goodreads just yet. Let's see what my workload looks like next year. But yeah, that's something I wanted to try out. 7th, organizing more discussions and reading more wonderful books with all of you as part of the Bookbound Club. It's been great to put together this initiative with Shruti and Sonali, and fortunately we've been picking books that most of us seem to enjoy. So want to continue that tradition and hope that there's even more amazing reads in the cards for all of us. Thanks to all of you for your enthusiasm and support. We've had such high ambitions for this book club since we started planning it. It's I'm so glad to be a part of this. So if you're not part of this club yet, make sure to follow us. Just check out the hashtag on YouTube and on Instagram, and you'll see what we're up to. So I hope that more of you can join us next year for all the read-alongs that are going to happen. We're super excited for it. Next, to continue reviewing every book I read. This is a habit that I had inculcated in myself a couple of years ago, and it's one of the best practices that I've picked up. It not only helps me remember the book better in the long run, but also helps me form more refined thoughts. It's not just important to put yourself in the shoes of other characters, but to constantly improve the way you think and the way you see the world around yourself. And reviewing books is something that helps me do that, in the sense that as a reader you do place yourself in another character's shoes, but how does an author's writing and how do those characters' experiences shape you, right? Am I rambling? Did this video become too philosophical? But what I'm trying to say is, reviewing books does have a lot of value. If you haven't tried doing it, maybe do that. I have made a whole other video about why it's important to review books, and I'll link it in the description and in the cards. So check that out if you want to, and if reviewing books is something you want to start or experiment doing next year, just know that there is a lot of value to it. It'll help you be more open to other world views and experiences that are very different from your own, and just it'll help you be a better person. Yes, it does. So that's something I'm going to continue doing next year as well. If you are interested in some of my reviews, you should take a look at my blog. That's also linked in the description. I regularly post reviews of all the books that I read there, in addition to Goodreads. And the last definitive plan is to explore more of some genres. I wouldn't say new genres, but some genres that I've taken a more keen interest in. And these are dark academia, sci-fi, and retellings. Well, retellings is not really a genre, but it's a category. This year I read Lore by Alexandra Bracken, and that is a Greek mythology retelling. It involves various figures from Greek myths that you would have heard and read about. That made me realize that I wanted to read more of these mythological retellings, not just Greek but Norse and Hindu, to name a few. And I've read and really enjoyed Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir and To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini. These are two great sci-fi books. Well, I really enjoyed them. Sci-fi connoisseurs, if you're watching this video, I don't know what you think about them, but if you have a lot of other wonderful sci-fi recommendations, then please let me know. Yeah, these are just a couple of books that made me feel like I want to try reading that genre more. I remember sometime back I had made this resolution to read more non-fiction. That resolution's not really doing very well. I feel like I need a stronger motivating factor to pick up non-fiction books, and I don't know how to inculcate that behavior in myself. Should I try like a positive reinforcement tactic? Maybe if I read one non-fiction, I should gift myself something. So what parents do, isn't it? To like make children develop good habits. Like, if you do this, you get a toy. I don't know how to approach this, but from reading 1 to 2 non-fictions a year, I'm thinking of picking up one non-fiction book for every month next year. Do you think I can do it? Are there any top non-fiction reads that you would recommend to me? Like, if you're familiar with my tastes and my interests, then maybe there's something that you can recommend to me which would make it easier for me to start reading non-fictions. I don't know. Let's see. So these are some tentative plans that I have for all things bookish next year. I'm going to adapt these plans as the months pass by, and at the end of December 2022, we'll see how I've fared. I hope being subscribed to this channel has brought some value to all of your lives. And again, thank you for being here. I hope you have a wonderful end to the year. So that's it for this video. Do let me know what are some of your reading plans for next year. I will see you soon in another video. Bye!